fact that Israel allowed an Indian company to acquire one of the two ports Israel has is a testimony that we trust the Indian business people, we trust the Indian government. I want to welcome more investors to invest in Israel. It's in the benefit, it's in the best interest of both sides.
Israel's Minister of Economy, Nir Barkatwho, who's currently on a visit to India, emphasized the significance of Israel-India relationship. He said India is like a brother, and together India and Israel can offer the world new ideas. Talking about bilateral trade and Indian investments in Israel, he said Israel trusts Indian businessmen and the Indian government. Israel allowing India's billionaire businessman Gautam Adani the acquisition of strategically important Haifa port can be seen as a testimony of that trust.
I think it's the fact that Israel allowed an Indian company to acquire one of the two ports Israel has is a testimony that we trust the Indian business people, we trust the Indian government. It's none of our business what's happening here. I want to welcome more investors to invest in Israel. It's in the benefit, it's in the best interest of both sides, both countries and people. And we believe it's a good investment, and we want to make sure that the return on investment is such that more investors from India will come to invest in Israeli high-tech, startups, infrastructure. We'd love that.
Last year, India's Adani Group acquired the Haifa port in Israel. It is one of the two most important ports for the Middle Eastern nation. During his visit, Israel's economy minister will promote Israel-India trade ties. He's also likely to broach the topic of free trade agreement with his Indian peers.
The FTA, free trade agreement between India and
I'm going to be discussing it with the ministers today.
Which sectors are you looking at as far as those agreements are concerned?
First of all, naturally, where Israel's competitive advantage has and where India has competitive advantage, we have to focus on the complementary ideas. Well, it should be as wide as possible to enable more and more trade, and free trade brings people together. Well, it should be as wide as possible from my perspective, because we want to share as much knowledge and information and trade as possible. I assume it's going to be, it should be in what we call, there's a couple of sectors that we provide, for example, desert tech, agro-tech, food tech, water, creating food from the sea, health tech. These are all tech-related ideas that Israel has a lot to offer. And it translates into a lot of trade on both directions. So from my perspective, we're coming as open as possible.
The merchandise trade between India and Israel has diversified and expanded over the last few years. From a measly $200 million in 1992, comprising primarily of diamonds, to $7.86 billion excluding defense purchases during 21-22, with the balance of trade being in India's favor.